Nothing in the accumulation of facts will force American politicians to fight fair. The outs wanting in will continue to emphasize homelessness and joblessness and recession in the United States. And how can the ins wanting to stay in possibly ignore or dismiss such charges, knowing that we do have homeless and we do have jobless and our economy is less vigorous than it was? But shouldn't you and I, from outside the political arena, shouldn't we keep reminding us, U.S., that all things considered, our nation in its present condition is the only nation on earth where people are standing in line waiting to get in instead of braving stormy seas in frail boats, dying, trying to get out. There are lies, and there are damn lies, and there are statistics. Statisticians are incapable of comprehending anything which they can't mathematize. Statisticians in our government's Census Bureau have released a grotesquely misleading report that there are 30 million Americans living in poverty. Now, the whole truth is that the poorest 30 million Americans today have a greater share of total United States income than they did 20 years ago. Yes, the melancholy reality is that there are some poor people lacking shelter and clothing, who have needs, who deserve help. But the government is doing a disservice to them and to the rest of us by lying about the numbers. Americans are names, they're not numbers. The Census Bureau, based on a single statistic, has declared that 30 million Americans fall below the poverty threshold. What is that, $13,900 and some dollars for a family of four? But the Bureau's statisticians ignore the fact that 40% of all of those people own their own homes, that their average income their average home, by the way, is a 3-bedroom house with a garage and a porch and a patio. More than half of the poor live in homes or apartments that have twice as much living space as the average Japanese, 4 times more than the average Russian. Heritage Foundation blames you and me, blames us of the media for accepting distorted government statistics which lead to distorted public misconceptions which lead to imprudent legislation. USDA studies have affirmed that the average consumption of protein, vitamins, and minerals in the United States is virtually the same for both poor and middle-class children. And in most cases, it's well above the recommended norms. Far from being chronically hungry and malnourished, poor children in the United States are in fact supernourished, growing up to be an inch taller and 10 pounds heavier than the average American soldier during World War II. Most poor Americans are better housed, better fed, they own more personal property than the average American throughout most of the 20th century. Now, if we're going to base public policy on numbers, let's include all of the numbers. The Census Bureau and its poverty guesstimate does not count cash welfare, does not count food stamps, does not count public housing or medical care, and thus ignores about $134 billion, which Americans have been giving to poor people every year, which is about $10,499 for every poor household in America. Now, if some, for political or other purpose, want to shame our nation, then shame us for the often misdirected philanthropy which has resulted in millions of children without fathers and adults discouraged, don't want to try to work, in the behavioral poverty which eventuates in illegitimacy and crime and school failure and a generation with enough money for drugs. But I'm just fed up with politicians trashing our country when it's the best country on the planet.